Hi everyone, today I will be presenting about metamorphism and its types. So the word metamorphism comes from the Greek word meta means change and morph means form. The idea of metamorphism was first conceived by James Hutton, who was the father of geology, but the word metamorphism was introduced into the geology by Charles Lyell in 1832. In geology, the metamorphism, the term means the changes in mineral assemblage and the texture that results from subjecting a rock to pressure and temperatures which is different from those under which the rock was originally formed. Now, the original rock from which the metamorphic rock have been formed, that original rock has been termed as protolith. These protolith can be either igneous rock, sedimentary rock, or it can even be the metamorphic rock. So, due to the effect of temperature, pressure and the chemically active fluids, changes will be happening to this protolith rock. The changes include mineralogical changes and textural changes will take place, and this protolith will undergo metamorphism and the resultant will be the metamorphic rocks. Now, we will discuss about the importance in studying the metamorphic rocks. There are mainly two importance in studying the metamorphic rock. The first one is, by studying the metamorphic rocks, we can study the pressure temperature conditions that is take place in the deep within the earth. So, it is a main important factor why we are studying the metamorphic rocks. And the second important fact is that most of the economic value deposits are associated with the metamorphic rocks. For example, slate and marble, which is used for building purpose, garnet, which is used as gemstones and abrasives, talc, which is used for cosmetics, paints and lubricants. Then the last one is asbestos, which is used for insulations and fireproofing. So, and from this we can conclude that almost the economic value deposits are associated with the metamorphic rock. So, these are the main importance why we are studying the metamorphic rocks. Next is the agents of metamorphism. So, the important agents of metamorphism are temperature, pressure, chemically active fluids and time. Temperature, pressure, chemically active fluids and time are the important agents of metamorphism. In the case of pressure, we have two types of pressure. First one is uniform pressure and the second one is directive pressure. So, we look into each one. The first and the foremost important factor which will affect the metamorphism is temperature. So, we will discuss now the temperature. Temperature, as we know, it increases with the depth in the earth. And why it is increasing? Because of the process known as geothermal gradient. This geothermal gradient is a process by which, as we go deeper towards the earth, about 1 kilometer, within an interval of 1 kilometer, there is an average increase of 25 degrees Celsius of increase of temperature within the earth. Since in the earth crust we have different crusts are present here, on each crust the average scale of increase in temperature will be different. So, we can look into each by one. The first one is the Precambrian shield. In the Precambrian shield, there will be an increase in temperature about 15 to 20 degrees Celsius per kilometer. In the active margin areas, there will be an increase of 30 degree to 35 degrees Celsius per kilometer. In the subduction zone, there will be an increase of 10 degrees Celsius per kilometer. In the collisional orogenies, there will be an increase of temperature 25 to 30 degrees Celsius per kilometer. In the extensional orogenies, it will be 40 to 50 degrees Celsius per kilometer. But mid-oceanic ridges, as we know that it is seen in the divergent plate margins where two plates move away from each other, so the magma will rise up, so there will be high temperature which is seen in the mid-oceanic ridges. So the geothermal gradient at the mid-oceanic ridge is about approximately 60 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Now in the case of coming to the temperature, the lowest limit up to which the metamorphism take place will be at 150 or minus 25. This is the lowest limit of temperature up to which metamorphism take place. Now this limit, this temperature limit is just after diagenesis. Diagenesis, as we know, it is the process by which sedimentary rocks have been forming. That process is known as diagenesis. After the diagenesis, again the temperature decreases and it starts the formation of metamorphism. So that temperature limit is about 150 degrees Celsius plus or minus 25, and the highest limit of metamorphism, it can go down up to 800 degrees Celsius, and after that it can still go to forming ultra high temperature metamorphism, but the highest temperature limit is between 150 to 800 degrees Celsius. Now we will look at the next important factor, that is pressure. So pressure can be defined as the force per unit area, and in the earth crust we have two types of pressure, that is uniform pressure and differential pressure. In the earth crust, as we move to the depth, the pressure that is acting on a body will be all equal in all directions, and that pressure is known as uniform pressure. And the important effect of this uniform pressure is that the volume of the body will changes due to the uniform pressure. Suppose this is a material, this is a rock fragment. So as we go to the deeper depth, uniform pressure will act. Uniform pressure means in all directions the effective pressure will be equal. So which means the volume of that body changes, but there will not be any change in its shape, but the volume decreases. The next type of pressure is the directed pressure. Directed pressure is a type of pressure which is acting in the unequal direction. So since the pressure is acting in the unequal direction, directed pressure is mainly concentrated on the surface of the earth. This is the pressure which is acting when the folding and faulting will be occurring. The directed pressure can be generally divided into two types. One is the normal stress and other is the shear stress. Normal stress is a type of directed pressure in which the pressure will be acting on the main principal stress of that mineral, and due to that the minerals will be elongated in a direction where there is minimum principal stress. For example, as you can see it in this rock body, the minerals are arranged like this, and in this direction we are applying the directed pressure. So what happens is that this is the direction where the rock particles having the principal main stress axis. So along this direction these minerals will be compressed and they will be extended in a direction opposite to that of this direction. So what happens is that here when the directed pressure is acted on this material, after metamorphism the minerals will be elongated in a direction where there is minimum principal stress. Here this direction is the way where there is minimum stress direction is acting on it, and the minerals will be elongated like this. Now coming to the shear stress. Shear stress is the next important type of directed pressure where the shearing will be acting on it and the shape of the body will be changed. When in a body, if this is a body and here shear stress is acting on it, what happens is that this material will be rotated and it will be flattened out. So the shape of the body will change when the shear stress is acting on it. The most important fact about this directed pressure is that due to directed pressure, the metamorphic rock will contains a preferred orientation. As you can see it in this figure, the minerals are arranged in irregular manner, and due to the effect of directed pressure they are now having a preferred orientation. Next, we will go through the another important agent of metamorphism, that is chemically active fluids. Where does this chemically active fluids exist? These chemically active fluids exist in the pore spaces of a mineral or a rock. So, when there is a temperature increase or pressure increase in it, what happens is that the chemically active fluids which is present in the pore space of this rock, they become active and they become fluids, hydrothermal fluids, and they moves into that rock and it catalyzes the metamorphic reactions. So, that is the most important agent of this use of these chemically active fluids. The important chemically active fluids which is responsible for metamorphism are carbon dioxide and water that is present in the pore space of this rock, and the metamorphism which is caused as a result of this chemically active fluids is known as metasomatism. Now, the next important factor is time. As we know, the process of metamorphism involves the changes of rock while it is in a solid state, and the metamorphic changes is a slow process, and during metamorphism various processes are at work. For example, recrystallization should take place, lots of chemical reaction should take place, and in the whole metamorphic process there will be a polymorphic phase transformations are there. So, for all these processes time is an important concern, and it is also an important agent of metamorphism. So, that is all about the agents of metamorphism. Now, we are going to discuss about the processes of metamorphism, which means the process that is taking place during the entire metamorphic process. Now, the process of metamorphism, there are generally 4 processes are there during the activity of metamorphism. The first one is granulation, the second one is plastic deformation, the third one is recrystallization, and the last one is metasomatism. So, during the continuous activity of these 4 processes, that metamorphism is taking place. So, we will detailedly go through what does each process stands for. The first one is granulation. Now, what do you mean by this granulation? As we know, during the metamorphism, the pressure is acting on the rocks, and due to the action of this pressure, what happens is that the rock will be shattered out and additional friction will be there, and this breakage of the rocks, all these processes are happening without losing the coherence of this rock. So, all the pressure that is acting into it and the shattering of the rocks with the addition of friction, and due to that the rock will undergo partial melting, but even though all these processes are happening, the rock will not lose its coherence, and that entire process is termed as granulation. Now, the next process, that is plastic deformation. Now, in this plastic deformation, as we know that during the granulation process, the pressure is acted upon the rock. So, what happens? They will be broken down. In some cases, the minerals tends to change its shape. So, whenever the shape has been changed out and we release the pressure we acted on it, the shape of the grain that is changed never come back. So, that type of deformation is known as plastic deformation, and due to this plastic deformation, new minerals and a new orientation of minerals will be formed out, and that is the second important process that is happening during metamorphism. Now, the third one is recrystallization. Here in the recrystallization process means it can be explained in 2 ways, that is either during metamorphism, either the formation of new minerals or the growth of the pre-existing minerals present in the protolith can be termed as recrystallization. So, this is the third process that is acting in the metamorphism. Now, the next one is metasomatism, which means that, as I mentioned earlier, the water and the carbon dioxide that is present in the metamorphic rock, due to the effect of these metamorphic actions, they will become charged up and they will react with the other minerals present in the protolith and changes its mineralogies and the texture of the rock, and that process is known as metasomatism. So these are the 4 important processes that causes metamorphism. Now, how does this act? This is not one by one, is not acting during metamorphism, it is a combined action. So during metamorphism, these 4 processes acts combinedly, they operate in combination. That means during granulation process, the individual crystals are plastically deformed, and this deformation results to the recrystallization. Then after recrystallization, if metasomatism is happening on that rock, what happens is that it also added to the process of recrystallization by creating new minerals. So these are the whole process that is acting during metamorphism. Now we will go through the types of metamorphism. So there are, based on the agents that is acting on the metamorphism, there are different types of metamorphism. So we will go through the one by one. The first type is the thermal metamorphism. As the term implies, here the agent of metamorphism is heat. This thermal metamorphism is also known as contact metamorphism, and here the way in which this metamorphism happens is that when an intrusion which is acting on a country rock, due to the effect of this intrusion, the country rock undergoes the heat effect and the country rock undergoes metamorphism. Suppose this is the magma, this is the earth surface, and an intrusion is generating from this magma, and this is the country rock. Into this country rock, this magma will spreads over and creates metamorphism, and as we know that there will be a particular region within the country rock that this effect of metamorphism will be there. So the region up to which the metamorphism is taking place in the country rock, and that region is known as aureoles. So this aureole is known as contact aureole, which is formed as a result of contact metamorphism. And within the contact aureole, the degree of metamorphism, based on the intensity of the heat, we can divide it into different zones. So we have, generally we have, this is the outermost zone, this can be the intermediate zone, and this can be the innermost zone. So the zones within this is divided on the basis of the intensity of metamorphism. And during contact metamorphism, when this magma enters into contact with the country rock, the vapors and the fluids which is present in the magma can react with the country rock, minerals present in the country rock, and which creates another type of metamorphism that is known as pneumatolytic metamorphism. So it's a variety of this contact metamorphism. Now we will see an example where when a rock of country rock like shale undergoes contact metamorphism. We will see an example. When a shale undergoes this contact metamorphism, there will be a contact aureole will be formed, and within that contact aureole 3 zones are there. The first one is the outermost zone, then we have the innermost zone, and in between them we have the intermediate zone. So in each zone we have different types of rocks that is formed according to their degree of metamorphism. As you can see in the outermost zone where the temperature effect is very low, so the rock formed will be spotted slate. Here in the intermediate zone, the temperature increases as we are moving towards the interior side, and in the interior side we will get spotted hornfels. Now on the innermost side, because of the high degree of metamorphism, the rock formed will be the fine-grained hornfels. So this is an example of contact metamorphism that is happened to an argillaceous sediment rock, that is shale. So next we are going to discuss about the next important type of metamorphism, and that is cataclastic metamorphism. Cataclastic metamorphism is a type of metamorphism in which the dominant factor is the directed pressure. So as we discussed earlier, directed pressure is a type of pressure which is acting in the unequal directions on the surface of the earth, which is formed as a result of faulting and folding. Here, due to the effect of this directed pressure, what happens? The rock will be crushed, ground and deformed. So the rock which is formed as a result of cataclastic metamorphism are called as cataclastic rocks. Cataclastic rocks. Now the example of the important cataclastic rocks are melanite and fault breccias. So here the important agent is directed pressure, crushing will take place, and it is mainly happening on the surface of the earth as a result of faulting and folding. The rocks which is formed as a result of cataclastic metamorphism are cataclastic rocks. So this figure will show you an important example of this cataclastic metamorphism. As you can see, the two continental plates are moving towards each other, and due to that high directed pressure will be created in that region, and due to the high pressure, that is directed pressure created in that region, cataclastic rocks are formed. An important example of the continent-continent collision is the formation of our Himalayas. Next type of metamorphism is dynamo-thermal metamorphism. So here in the dynamo-thermal metamorphism, the important agents are directed pressure and high temperature. So what is so individual factors have its own influence. Due to the effect of high temperature, what happens? It facilitates the recrystallization process. While in the case of directed pressure, it facilitates the deformation events. And an important effect of this dynamo-thermal metamorphism is that if an equigranular plutonic igneous rock have undergone this dynamo-thermal metamorphism, the rock type, the formed metamorphic rock will now have preferred orientation. It will be generally be gneissic rocks. So here in dynamo-thermal metamorphism, the agent is directed pressure and high temperature. So this diagram clearly indicates what this directed pressure dynamo-thermal metamorphism can influence. This here there is a granitic rock is there. This granitic rock undergoes dynamo-thermal metamorphism. As you can see it in this figure, now the rock has been changed and it is having preferred orientation and gneissic bandings. So here when dynamo-thermal metamorphism is acting on a plutonic rock, all the platy minerals like biotite, chlorite and muscovite, these platy minerals are the ones which will directly align to the direction where there is minimum stress is acting on it. Now we are going to move to the plutonic metamorphism. Now the plutonic metamorphism is typically different from that of the dynamo-thermal metamorphism. Here the agents are heat and uniform pressure. But in the case of dynamo-thermal, it is heat is there, but it is directed pressure. But in the case of plutonic metamorphism, it is heat and combined effect of uniform pressure. Since uniform pressure is acting, we know that the uniform pressure is acting at a greater depth in the earth. So this metamorphism is taking place at a greater depth, and the rocks which are formed as a result of this plutonic metamorphism are known as granulites, and they are showing the typical granulose texture. Another important fact about this plutonic metamorphism is that this plutonic metamorphism results the formation of anti-stress minerals which is having small specific volume and high density. So these are the important facts about plutonic metamorphism. Heat and uniform pressure acting at a greater depth, granulitic rocks are forming showing granulose texture, and due to the plutonic metamorphism, anti-stress minerals will be forming. Now coming to the hydrothermal metamorphism, that is the next important type of metamorphism. This is happening mainly due to the hydrothermal fluids. That, as we know, in the oceanic crust, which is generally made up of basalts, and this basalt contains pore spaces. This is the sea water and this is the oceanic crust. So due to the pore spaces, what happens? The oceanic water will move downwards. So when the oceanic water will move downwards, here we have magma. So magma is here. So when the seawater moves down, this cold seawater moves down, due to the effect of this magma, when the seawater reaches such a certain depth, it will be transformed from the cold water to the hydrothermal fluids. And this hot and high temperature hydrothermal fluids moves upwards. When they are moving upwards, what happens? They will react with all the rocks that is present within the oceanic crust and causes metamorphism, and that type of metamorphism is known as, that is due to the hydrothermal fluids, movement of hydrothermal fluids is known as hydrothermal metamorphism. Now coming to the next one, that is burial metamorphism. This is a type of metamorphism which is always been associated with the formation of sedimentary rock. As we know, the sedimentary rocks which generally formed in a basin, that is, this basin is having a depth. But after the formation of this sediment rock, if the depth increases up to a certain limit, temperature will increases and this sedimentary rock undergoes metamorphism, and that type of metamorphism is known as burial metamorphism, always associated with the depth and associated with the sedimentary rock formations. Now the last type of metamorphism that we are going to discuss is shock metamorphism. Shock metamorphism is always concentrated with extraterrestrial activities. Suppose some meteoritic impacts or comet impacts are happening on the earth, and due to the effect of this impact, high pressure is released on the surface of the earth. So due to the effect of this high pressure, the country rocks will change its mineralogies and the pressure and undergoes the metamorphism, and that type of metamorphism is known as shock metamorphism. So these are the important types of metamorphism. So we can conclude that metamorphism is one of the most important process that is happening on the earth surface, and there is a lots of importance in studying the metamorphic rock. We have seen it because the metamorphic rocks are important in delineating the pressure temperature conditions. All the economic deposits are associated with the metamorphic rocks, and we have seen what are the different processes that is happening during metamorphism, and the important agents that is acting on the metamorphism, like pressure, temperature, chemically active fluids and time. And based on these agents, we have seen the different types of metamorphism, like thermal metamorphism, we have seen burial metamorphism, dynamothermal metamorphism, plutonic metamorphism, shock metamorphism, hydrothermal metamorphism, like that we have seen it. And these all are all about metamorphism and its own types. Thank you.